Welcome back for a brand new episode of Let's Talk on Blue Ridge 11. I'm your host, Chad Landers. This will be the final episode of Let's Talk in 2020. Now, we've churned through 9 episodes this year. What a fun ride it's been. Really excited, though, to continue it in 2021, and I'm hoping you will all go along for the ride with me in the new year. Now, as for today's show, we are talking with a pair of basketball legends at their respective schools, and they could light it up during their high school days. My first guest is the all-time leading scorer in Cocalico basketball history, girls or boys. She is also 8th all-time on the LL League girls scoring list. Please welcome to the show Cocalico girls basketball legend, Abbie Houck, formerly Abbie Fabian. Abbie, how are you? It's been quite some time since I actually got to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. I think you reminded me of just how old I am right before we started this interview when you told me over 20 years since I've been in high school.
Well, hey, I'm feeling old too with the college reunions and all of that, so I feel your pain there. But I did say your high school career is one that I wish I could go back in time and cover because it sounded electric. So I'm going to do my best here to paint a beautiful picture for everybody. But we do like to, before we get to that, kind of fill everybody in on what you're up to these days. So fill us in.
Well, I am teaching and I am raising my children. So that's, kind of what occupies 99% of my time. I teach math at Pequay Valley High School, and I also teach a leadership class, which is a little bit different. It's like a leadership strength and conditioning class here as well. And then I have 3 children. So my son is in 8th grade and my middle daughter is in 7th grade, and then I have a 4th grader as well. So keeping busy with them and all their sports and, being a mom.
Yeah, I feel you. We've got a 3rd grader and a kindergartner, so we're in similar boats there.
Yeah.
So let's get into that high school career. A pretty incredible one that we're going to have to trek all the way back to the late 90s for. But we do have to tell people you finished with 1,981 career points. It is the most ever at Cocalico and the 8th all-time in the LL League girls history. So what does that mean to you all these years later after you hear that?
What happened to those 19? Those missing 19 points. I mean, it's definitely a career I look back on with fond memories. I got to play with some excellent players. I absolutely, loved playing for Coach Strupp. So, like I said, there was a lot of people around me that helped me have that career that I had.
It's interesting you bring up those 19 points because your teammate, and I'm assuming a close friend, Jody Frederick, also scored 1,487 points of her own, which again is a ton in a career. I'd have to think she stole about 19 of those that you'd love to get to 2,000. So, I mean, do you ever get to kid her about that?
Well, it's funny that you bring Jody up. So Jody and I married cousins. So we're kind of in the same family now. So we see each other a ton. And I guess, no, I've never thought of it that way, but for 10 years prior to or post graduation, all of my friends called me like 19, just kind of to rib me a little bit about those missing 19 points. So it's not like I didn't hear enough about that.
Yeah, it's a really cool situation. Again, all-time leading scorer in Cocalico history, boys or girls. Now, your junior year was 96, pretty good year for you guys. Section 3 champs, LL League runner-up, District 3 runner-up, and you won Cocalico's first ever state girls playoff game, I believe. So, yeah, an incredible year. Why was that team so good?
Well, I think you named Jody, who's also Jody Houck right now, but Jody Frederick back then, absolutely. We had so many surrounding players. Miriam Anthony was another, big contributor to that, and we worked hard. So I think that's kind of what set us apart was our work ethic, and we had some outstanding athletes on that team. Not even putting myself in that piece, looking at like a Lynette Stover, just an all-around outstanding athlete. Jody Frederick, another one, and just, girls that worked hard, were naturally gifted. And then, it was just, we were able to play defense because of our athleticism. And then, we were able to score some points on offense there too. So I would attribute it mostly to that.
Yeah, I mean, it would sound like a really good team, a very core unit. And you guys got into those playoffs. You lost to Lancaster Catholic in the district championship. They go on to win the state title that year. Then you get into states. You beat Avon Grove there for that first win. And then you run into this North Schuylkill team in the quarters, which was apparently really good. So how tough were those two losses for you guys?
It's funny, and I try and when I look back on my career and things like that, it's like those are the things that sting, and those are the things that you remember more so than all of these successes. And I don't know if that's more or less the competitor, in me or what, but I could tell you all of our losses. The wins were awesome, and playing in front of that many people, and we had outstanding fans. I mean, we had packed gyms, people following us. And it was just such a super fun time. But I will forever remember getting, pelted by Hershey Kisses, walking off the gym floor, sad about the loss. So the losses do stick with you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, you didn't have a whole lot of them, so it's probably easy to remember a few of those. But we can pivot to your senior year. So you have that great junior year. You bring most of the ladies back. You had to think you had a really good team. And then you guys kind of backed it up. You were Section 2 champs. You win the AAA District 3 title game against Conestoga Valley. So that had to be a pretty cool moment in your career. What was that like, coming back the next year and winning the District 3 title against CV?
Clearly that was awesome. And that's something I will always remember. Just that, again, the teammates and the memories and things like that are it was fantastic to be able to do that. The first girls district basketball championship in school history. So definitely some fond memories from that as well.
Was that up in what part of Hershey was that in? Was that in the old barn up there?
Actually, no, it was, I don't know why something happened with the scheduling of Hershey. So we played, I believe it was at Millersville, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
So it was not at Hershey, I think, for the only year ever that it wasn't at Hershey.
Wow, what a bummer. The one year Cocalico wins it, you can't even enjoy.
Yeah, we didn't get to throw the Hershey Kisses.
Oh, wow. All right.
But we were able to lose at Hershey the year before, so.
Yeah, geez.
I was able to play a district championship there, just didn't win one there.
Okay, yeah, great point. Well, so you do get to go on to states, and then you win 3 games in states. So the year before you win 1, now you win 3. I have to imagine that the confidence was at an all-time high. You were a senior, so you were clearly leading the team. And then you run into that North Schuylkill team again. Coming into that game, did you view it as a revenge game, or, what was the mindset?
Back then, you're just kind of high school kids, and you're going with the flow. And, Coach Strip always had us so prepared and focused and ready to go. And I think we were just excited to play again. I mean, we just took it one game at a time. And, it was an odd night. We played, Margie Rhodes, who was a superstar in herself at Columbia, and I were good buddies just from playing on teams outside. And so she played the game ahead of us. We were at Geigel Complex in Reading, and they were supposed to blow out the team they were playing. And halfway through her game, the fire alarm goes, and, we're all evacuated from Geigel Center. And, they ended up losing that game, which was sort of devastating for us to watch because they should have been state champs. So then we take the floor. It was just this odd circumstance of events. We felt ready. I can tell you exactly the last 2 minutes what happened. I'm sure you don't want me to recant that, but we were winning by 5 with 2 minutes left. I told you the losses stick with you. I will tell you that I fouled somebody, a pretty good foul, and it was my 5th foul. And so now 2 minutes left. I'm fouled out, only up 2, and we ended up losing. So that was definitely something that sticks with you. The shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Again, that's the game I remember, walking off the floor, getting pelted with Hershey Kisses.
Wow.
But again, it helps you it was a good experience. And I look back on it, it's a good experience, something I will always remember. It helped me grow as a player, and there are so many good memories from over my 4 years as well. So
yeah,
it was definitely a crazy night. I can tell you that. It's definitely crazy.
I had never heard those stories. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to take. I can understand why you would remember that. It's interesting. Yeah, you have a great memory after all these years.
I know. Hey, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. You brought up Margie Rhodes. Again, another person I never got to see, but I hear legendary stories of how great she was. She's the all-time leading scorer in LL girls history. And you got to play against her in high school a couple of times, I believe. What was that like? What made her so good? And did you have to guard her?
We never matched up against each other. So, we probably could have. I don't know if our coaches didn't, just to, we had better defensive players than me, I would say, on our team. So it wasn't a good match, necessarily. I wasn't our best choice to guard her. And opposite, she never guarded me either. So she was a shooter. Absolutely, hands down a shooter. She could stop and pop from anywhere. And, again, just an excellent player. So her and I played a lot of teams together outside of high school. So just, it was always a fun rivalry. Never mean-spirited, none of that going on. She was just always, excellent person. She has some twins coming up now that you will probably be covering soon in the realm. I think they're going to be freshmen this year. So I got to see them play last year here, and they are outstanding. So.
What school is that for? Is it Columbia?
Columbia. Mm-hmm.
Cool, carrying on a nice legacy there. That's exciting. I do look forward. We don't have a lot of schools that play Columbia, but I hope we do get that sometime, because that would be a really cool callback. And speaking of callback, after you were done with high school and college, and eventually you made your way back to basketball as a broadcaster right here at Blue Ridge 11, and you worked with me for a little bit, which was a lot of fun. That's where I got to learn about your career, actually. How did you enjoy being on the TV broadcasts?
I did really enjoy that. Like that was definitely fun. And it kept me in the game sort of without having to coach. Coaching was a ton of time, and I absolutely loved it. But, when you have kids, that's not realistic to maintain that type of involvement, and then also, involve with them. It makes it very difficult. So that was, fun for me to be able to stay in the game and, but not put all that time and commitment towards coaching.
Yeah, that's right. You did actually coach Cocalico, I believe, the girls team at one point, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then you came to us. And all right, well, that was great. That was a nice look back there. I really enjoyed that, and some of those memories are really interesting to hear from you from that perspective. So thanks for sharing that. Thanks for coming on Let's Talk, and it's good to see you. I hope we get to see you in person sometime down the road.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, take care, Abbie.
You too.